I'm excited to be here. Actually, before I even started, I was told that I'm going to rank in the top 3 best speakers you've ever had for one of these conferences. So I'm pretty thrilled about that myself. But thank you, Tom, and thank you, Dan. I have to compliment Ames on having a real professional in the development world like Dan Culhane doing your work here. Dan is a long ball hitter when it comes to economic development, and I think it's something that you all should be pretty happy about. And obviously, since you've got a room full of folks like this that are very successful and represent the business community in Ames, I think you're all pretty well aware that you've got something very good going here. So you get me this morning, and whether you find that interesting or not, you also got the Kent team here as well. So I want to just make a few introductions, and I need to start first and foremost with my wife, Jerry. If you'd wave over here. She's the love of my life and the one that straightens me out when I get off. So I'm always glad to have her with me. Next, we have Johnny Arnett. Johnny Arnett is our Director of Communications and Events. And then we have my son, Jimmy Kent. Jimmy is an Iowa State grad. Johnny's an Iowa State grad too, by the way. But Jimmy's an Iowa State grad and is president of one of our subsidiaries, which we'll talk about in a little bit, Grain Processing Corporation. And then next to him is one of our board of directors. Roger Underwood has been gracious enough to be a member of our board of directors for the last 25 years or so, pretty close to that, 23. Seems like 25. But no, Roger's been a great asset. And then also Roger's brother, Jeff Underwood, who I think you all know here in Ames. Jeff runs our Innovation Center here at the ISU Research Park. And our newest member is Allison Hendricks, sitting next to him. She's a data analyst in the market research area. So if you really want to get the right answers to things, go to them. They probably know more about it than I do. But at any rate, glad to be here. Now, before we get started on this whole presentation, if you get nothing else, if I get nothing else right today, I want to make sure that everybody here understands that the original business that we had, that we're in today still, is livestock feed. It's not seed. Now, that's a fair mistake that can be made. A lot of people will say, oh, you're in this Kent Seeds. You know, I see all your signs all over the place. Well, it's an easy mistake. If you're not in agriculture, I can see that. So I just want to make sure that everybody understands that it was not seed that we got into. It was livestock feed. I'm sure there's nobody in here, like there's been 2 of them in my life, and where they come and they say that to me. And I say, no, we're in the feed business. And everybody else usually says, oh, gosh, I'm sorry. But these 2, I remember, they said, are you sure? I said, I'm pretty sure, yeah. So now that we got that out of the way, thanks for the opportunity to come here and talk to you about this today. It's obviously my favorite subject. And I think that you might find it interesting. So our company, just to go back, and I'm going to go through 96 years of history here, and I promise you you're going to get out of here before 9 o'clock, easy. So anyway, we're 96 years young, and we're proud to have been part of Iowa's economic growth and economic development, and we're looking forward to the future. We're also very pleased to be headquartered in Muscatine. So sit back, relax, and I'm going to take you through a fast version of this. We started in Indianola, Iowa. This is my grandfather here, and his facility originally in Indianola. And I'll explain how we got to Muscatine in a little bit, but his objective was to strengthen the producer's bottom line. But what does that mean? Well, helping livestock farmers be economically successful and pursue the American dream. He developed a product called Kent Baby Beef. It's the feed without a filler. Now, prior to that, livestock feed rations were done fairly haphazardly, and his idea was to really, through nutrition innovations and through manufacturing innovations, achieve greater gains for livestock feeders. Now, this actually is a copy. This is kind of a little-known factoid. he actually developed the patent for the first pelletized feed. Now, don't get me wrong, he did not develop the pellet mill. Wish he had, but he didn't. But he developed the system of very accurately creating a compounded thing that was actually the size of about a walnut. And by that, then producers could utilize the feed in a more exacting ration and really do the math of their feed business. Today, we still sell under that same brand. However, our company has grown to become a more diversified multinational supplier of ingredients and products primarily for the food and beverage value chain. So that's where we're going to spend our time today. My remarks will attempt to help you understand how that corporate strategy works that makes up Kent Corporation today. But again, we have to start at my grandfather. By the way, that last one was the last black and white slide, I promise. We're going to go to the future now, okay? My grandfather was an entrepreneur. He was tight, he was curious, and he was really committed to high quality personal relationships with his customers, his suppliers, his community, and everybody around him. And that culture is what's with us today, and I give a great deal of credit for bringing us to the success that we've had to date. So again, I said, how did we get from Indianola to Muscatine? Okay, he starts his feed business in 1927. In the mid-30s, the government was deepening the channel of the Mississippi River. There'd been a lock and dam system since the mid-1800s, and it was kind of getting downtrodden, and so a WPA project, I believe, was deepening the channel. So he and his brothers decided, hey, this is a good idea. We'll go to Muscatine, build a grain terminal, and then ship grain down the river. He built an offloading terminal in Vicksburg, Mississippi, and Tampa Bay, and all of that was going to ship grain to South America. It lasted for a while. I believe he spent 2 weeks under his bed in Colombia while he was down there selling because a revolution broke out, and a lot of things like that happened. So that's how we got to Muscatine, but he took his feed business with him. So today, this is what our business looks like. Our support of the livestock industry continues to be strong, and is very exciting to see how Kent continues to grow and evolve with the world's vital source of protein, and that's meat, milk, and eggs. Together, our family of companies contribute to the health and well-being through consumer products that include markets of beverage, agricultural, pet care, and food products. We touch the lives of virtually every person in the markets that we serve. I've always said, and as Tom said earlier, and Dan, we try and I like to say, have products that are in everything. We're in the sizing in we have starch in the sizing in your clothing. If you put creamer in your coffee today, we have ingredients that go into there that help it go into solution. In your meats, we do freeze-thaw ingredients, all kinds of things like that. And I like to say, we like to try and touch you every day without you knowing it. My HR and legal folks tell me I'm not supposed to say it that way anymore. But I think you get the idea. So let's talk strategy for a second of the company. Everybody's got to talk about the mission, vision, and values, and so here it is. Our vision is that given the world's population continues to rise, the desires and dietary requirements of people will require new innovations, and we're in pursuit of those. Okay, well, what's that mean? Obviously, pretty good growing market, more mouths to feed all the time. But the interesting thing is, maybe you all like hamburgers, but you don't eat hamburgers every day. You like variety in your diet. And you, for some reason, don't just want to eat them at home. You want to go out and eat them at a football game. And you want to eat them on top of a mountain. Or you're just constantly looking for variety in your diet. And that's where our business comes in. We help products not only taste better, but also function better in all the variety of ways that you would like to eat. Our mission is, for our company, that will deliver reasonable and consistent financial returns for the long term of our shareholders, customers, employees, and communities. Innovation in each company is tailored to each unique customer base And our core values, referenced a little earlier, apply across that entire organization. And the financial returns and consistency here is important, because when I came into the business 38 years ago, we had two companies. We had Kent Feeds and we had Grain Processing Corporation. And they were cyclical businesses. And there was kind of a feast and famine. And in order for us as a private company to be able to function, we need sources of capital. And certainly our shareholders like consistency. But if you're going to go to the lending market, they like quality of earnings. So my career has been spent trying to build an organization that's valuable and provides quality of earnings. Now let's talk about the core values just for a second, because this is the secret sauce. Now I view corporation, or the word corporation, as a verb, not a noun. Corporation is a group of people coming together trying to do something greater than they could do individually on their own. And that's valuable. That value is made up of excellent products, service, dedication to our core values, honesty, quality, safety, timeliness, and working for a win-win. And I want to go through those for you just so you're really clear on what this means, because as I say, this is the key. The first one is honesty. Now, first of all, where did we get the core values? I should ask you that. Well, so they were never written on a wall until about 20 years ago. And we decided, hey, we brought in a group to tell us how to do this. And we had the good fortune of having been in existence for about 70 years. And I can remember as a young man working for a company right out of college, I was working in New Orleans, and the corporate office was in Stamford, Connecticut. And one day we got this brochure, and the company's name was Champion Building Products. It was a forestry products company. And they said, and it's a paper company, so their really pretty brochure came, beautiful, beautiful brochure. It's called The Champion Way. And we all looked it up and opened it, and it had the core values. And guess what? Everything written there, and we're all like, this doesn't look anything like the way they run this place. Throw that away. So we said, how about since we have this opportunity with customers and suppliers and people in a history, how about we just ask them? So we surveyed the whole community around us and came up with these. And the first one is honesty. People appreciate that. And I can tell you, my father, Roger, knew him quite well. A man of very few words. But the one thing that he said to me is, just tell the truth. We can deal with the truth. And no problem will ever get solved until you get back to right there. So that's first and foremost. Secondly, we have quality. Now, quality was one that, everybody likes to think they make quality. And quality is largely defined as consistency of product. Well, it needs to be consistency of service as well. But consistency is key. And if you say you're going to do it, it needs to be in the bag, or it needs to be in the truck, or whatever you're doing, and it needs to be in the service that you provide. I had a customer that I was driven home to me when I was first with GPC selling starch to corrugated box makers. Guy out in Chicopee, Massachusetts. He said, Gage, I'd be happy to buy from you on one condition. I said, great, what's that? He said, I don't care if you send me shit in a paper sack, just send me the same shit every time. And that stuck with me. So, safety is the next one, and honestly, this one is another key that gets everybody working together, and that is, there isn't a dollar we make that's worth putting people in harm's way. This is a value proposition. What are we here for? What's everybody here to work for? We're here to support our families. We're here to have a nice life. We're here to be able to make the economic success of our family work. Well, that whole thing comes unraveled if it's not in a safe work environment. So we really work hard through a variety of different ways of trying to get everybody involved, not only with working safely at the office or in the plant, but at home as well. Then the next one is timeliness. Now, timeliness is kind of an odd one. You don't see that on the core values very often. But timeliness is defined here as get to the customer with the bad news faster than you get to them with the good news. Now, you might take a few lumps on the head if that shipment's not going to be there, but if you get the customer involved quicker, They'll help you solve the problem faster, better, and in the end, they will respect you for having at least been straightforward with them. Tell them, hey, we screwed up. I'm very sorry. And if you keep it up, well, then that goes back to quality, and you got another problem. But don't do it again, and you'll have a good relationship. And that relationship, really, the last one is these four kind of trickle down in or help build the foundation for the last one, and that is win-win deals. Now, I'm not here to sell you a MyPillow or a pair of slippers or a Snuggly on QVC or something like that, but I don't just want to sell you once and then I won't see you again. We want to sell you this week, next year. We have long-term relationships with customers around the world that we've had for 10, 20, 30, 40, we have 70-year relationships with multinational customers because hopefully we deliver on those core values. So, a little bit closer in on our company. We have this young man here. I think you met him. I said Jimmy's down here. He runs our Grain Processing Corporation, but we're privately held. Jimmy represents the fourth generation from our founding. His great-grandfather, Gage Kent, started it. We try and maintain a family-oriented culture in our company and grow sustainably. Now, that's a fashionable word nowadays, but we like to think we've been at it for quite a long time along with it. So, the well-being of our people, you talk about the family part of it. We consider the well-being of our people not as an expense, it's a priority. And one of the reasons why we've been recognized for doing this and these efforts that I talk about here is that we deliver on these things. And it's one thing if I stand up here and tell you that, gee, we're just this wonderful company and we do all these wonderful things. It's a whole different deal if somebody else says it about you. And I'm very proud of this because these people over here participated in that, and you know what? I'm proud of them for this. And the example I'm going to give you is that for 27 years, Deloitte Private has selected companies outside the United States for their Best Managed Company program. In 2020, Deloitte decided to bring it to the United States. They partnered with the Wall Street Journal, and we were in the inaugural cohort of companies. And not only that, we have now won their Gold Award 4 years running. Thank you. Yes. Companies are measured on strategy, execution, culture, and financials. Honorees are selected by an external panel of judges, which includes the CFO of Dow Jones and a panel of other CEOs that are current or past CEOs. So we're very proud of that, and we don't take that lightly, and we like to share that because it is the accomplishment of all of the people at Kent Corporation. Now, from a very high level, let's talk about what we do. Our organizational structure looks like this. We have, just going from the top down, this is kind of a chronological thing. Kent Nutrition was first. Second is Grain Processing Corporation. I'll get to each one of these in a minute. Then we have Kent Precision Foods Group. And then last and most recent, with their 25th anniversary, is the Kent Pet Group. So let's start with the oldest first, Kent Nutrition. Kent Nutrition goes to market with animal feeds. We are a full-line animal feed business. We sell certainly for production livestock, but we also do pet, small animal, and a variety of different rations for varying animal sizes. We go to market with all these different kinds of products. We do this through 14 plants scattered across the United States, from Columbus, Nebraska, as far west, all the way up to the New England area and down to Maryland. But all of our plants are Safe Feed, Safe Food certified. So if we look inside these facilities, we pelletize, bag, and distribute products to livestock producers, backyard farmers, and many more. We have an 800-acre research farm outside Muscatine, overlooking the Mississippi, allowing Kent's dedicated nutritionists to craft new products, utilize new developing products that are in the industry, and prove their applications out through evaluations at that research farm. We also have a first-hand understanding of the consumer products, or some of the consumer product areas that we sell to and distribute in. We operate our own chain of 13 retail stores. It was 12, but it's 13. We just bought one, closed on one yesterday, and in Augusta, Maine. And we call them Blue Seal Feeds and Needs stores. Retail works well in the Northeast, and consumers are accustomed to visiting with knowledgeable retailers. Our feed and lawn and garden and farm supply stores are well received and growing as there's this migration, rural migration in the Northeast away from the urban centers. Additionally, they like family-owned businesses. They like people that they know, and that's us. Switching gears now, let's go to Grain Processing Corporation. Grain processing started, it operates 24/7, 365 days a year, and has since Christmas Eve of 1943. A B2B ingredients company, GPC continues to use nearly the entire kernel of corn to supply value-added products for customers that are in the beverage business, food and nutritionals, pharmaceuticals, personal care, and industrial starch applications and alcohol applications, things of that nature. Now, what do we do? Okay, so you've got ethanol plants. Ethanol plants typically dry grind all their products, and everything goes into the fermentation mash. We're a wet mill. We first soak the corn, then break it up, and then either physically, chemically, thermochemically, or enzymatically separate it out into its individual core elements. And they are carbohydrate or starch, fiber, oil, and protein. And then we take those and refine them into all the various products that I spoke of here. We have two plants, one in Washington, Indiana, and one in Muscatine. GPC crafts innovative corn-based products for customers worldwide. We do this the same with chickpea and soy in Grinnell, Iowa, and tapioca-based ingredients through a joint venture that we have in Malaysia as well. GPC is proud to bring its long-term and new customers trusted high-quality ingredients, including maltodextrins. If you think of sugar on one end as far as the sweetness scale and starch on the other end that isn't sweet at all, maltodextrins are down over here in the almost not sweet. It's about 20% dextrose equivalent, or the equivalent of sugar in terms of sweetness. And it's a very flexible product that's used in a variety of different applications for freeze-thaw, stability, flavor carriers, color carriers, dispersants, all that kind of thing that helps you enjoy your meal better. If you're going to basically get anything in the refrigerator, turn it around and look and see if it's got a maltodextrin or a starch in it. Chances are some of it's come from us. So we take that corn and turn it into all of these things. We gather corn at each one of our facilities from about 75 to 100 miles away. We process on a daily basis about 300 trucks of corn, I believe, at each one. And if you want to figure out the equivalent, we process the equivalent of all of the corn grown in Story County and the 5 or 6 counties that adjoin you all the way around. So it's quite a bit of corn in a year's time. And some of the major markets that we track, for example, and this is, again, where Allison is working, and we have other people. My degree here is in marketing and market research at Iowa State, and it is key in our company, if you want to talk about what's one of the key mechanisms that we have really grown with, and that is understanding the market before you go to market. Even if you think you've got a great idea, go ask the customer first and make sure that they think it's as good an idea as you do. Certainly you want to try and convince them, but do some market research ahead of time. And we try and research our markets to find out that we're in markets that have somewhat of a growing pace. You don't necessarily have to have the silver bullet product right out of the chute, but if you've got something that's in that value chain and the market's growing, get in there, and then you'll improve it over time, or you'll get the opportunity to try something else. But we continually research and re-research the key markets for all of our primary products. Now, the one that everybody likes to talk about, I've been talking about food ingredients, but the one that everybody likes to talk about the most is this one. So the history of our company. As I said, my grandfather came to Muscatine. He was in the grain handling business. In the early 40s during the war, the government wanted to build a plant, a dry mill plant, actually to make alcohol as an ingredient for synthetic rubber. Well, and they did. He and his partner got the management contract, built it. After the war, our primary customer was gone. Government was gone. So what'd we do? Well, as luck would have it, he had hired the local chemistry teacher from the high school as the production manager. And this guy's brother just happened to be the production manager of a company called Hubline in Hartford, Connecticut. And Hubline wanted to introduce vodka into the United States. Well, guess what? We became the exclusive supplier, and we still are. We've had an uninterrupted supply relationship with Smirnoff Vodka since 1946, I think, somewhere in that neighborhood. So just a little known factoid. People will also say, all right, well, what other brands are you in? That's a hard one because we have 65% market share. So my request to you is just go ahead and enjoy a cocktail and we'll find you. And thank you for your business. Drink responsibly. Let's go then to the Precision Foods Group. This is a forward integration of our ingredients business, and this started actually a nice Iowa story. It's in New Sharon, frozen desserts business. We make soft serve ice cream mixes. Great company. We bought it, actually. We sold them some ingredients, and then we bought it. This was back in the 80s, early 80s, before I got there, and it was great business. You make a lot of money in the summer. You starve to death at Christmas time in January because nobody's eating soft serve ice cream. So I'm handed this thing. I became president at GPC. It was a division of GPC. I'm handed this thing, about 1988. And what do you do with it? Well, let's fill out the calendar. That was the strategic plan. Find something you can run through that plan. And so 17 acquisitions and 30 years later, this is what we have. It runs the gamut of food products. We now today have dry blending and liquid manufacturing facilities in Illinois, Wisconsin, Mississippi, and Iowa. These operations specialize in rigid and flexible packaging to provide high-quality branded custom culinary products for domestic and international retail consumers, customers in food service, things, if Wendy's needs a new cheese sauce or they need a new gravy or something like that, they come to us. And also contract manufacturing in some instances. We also then have our own stable of brands. Now, this picture kind of just displays the three pillars of Precision Foods. Left side is hydration and wellness. We originally bought a brand in the Thicket product. It helps dysphagia, people with swallowing disorders. We realized that all of us walk around here about 85% dehydrated all the time. You get a headache or something and you don't know why. Well, you're dehydrated. And so we've been in the business now for 7 or 8 years of helping people get hydration. We sell these products through Fastenal and Grainger. We're in the industrial side of things. We're not wanting to go up against the brands that I won't mention that are on the retail shelf. But for the most part, those are not really, they're designed for kids to like the flavor of them. Not really designed for your industrial or your serious hydration needs. And then most recently, we have wonderful flavors up there under the Squincher brand. We've got the pickle freeze thing. Actually, Jimmy worked in that area for a while. I think it's disgusting, but young people seem to like it, so it's fine with me, and we sell it. The original product was the vanilla soft serve packet underneath the sweet indulgences area, and we're doing a build out on basically that kind of sweet indulgence area. We are a licensee of Land O'Lakes. If you get a Land O'Lakes cocoa mix, we make those. And if you get a Dole Whip at any Disney facility in the world, we make that as well. And then we have our own brand of Southern Gourmet. They're no-bake dessert mixes as well. And on the right-hand side, some of our branded products include Mrs. Wage's home canning products. If you're into home canning, that's a part of our business, a growing business. Orrington Farms are soup bases and bouillon. And then the Milani and the Foothill Farms, that goes to food service. That'll be sold to the Cisco's, the PFGs, and all the rest of them that are in food service. We provide food and beverage with purpose for every one of these areas that we go to. We have wide penetration across, again, traditional retail, food service, industrial workplace, health facilities, and this market is huge and it's growing. Collectively, our brands' compound annual growth rate for the last 4 or 5 years has been 14.5%, led by our soft serve. I appreciate all of you enjoying a soft serve ice cream anytime you can somewhere. And again, you just have one, we'll find you. The Dole product, interestingly, is growing at 25%. Squincher's growing at 16, almost 17%. And we continue to innovate and grow and try and find out ways to help people enjoy what they're doing and have their product that they buy from us actually do what we say it's going to do. Dole Whip, actually, at Disney, by the way, is the second biggest food product they sell in Disney parks. The other one is turkey legs, which I didn't realize there are turkey legs at Disney, but little known fact for you. And then finally, let's turn to the Kent Pet Group. And you're going to say to me, wait a minute, Gage, how are we doing? How did we get to pets here? You said food and beverage. Well, every once in a while, something comes along that's just worth pursuing. So I'll tell you the story. It's 25 years ago. I'm at a sales manager's meeting in Lawrence, Massachusetts. I said to the sales manager at dinner one night, what do your dealers sell a ton of that we could, put research on? He says, I don't know, but I'll get back to you. So he came back a couple months later. He called me and said, boy, they sell truckloads of this cat litter stuff. And we were in the business, so we started again with a little market research, and we quickly found out 8 billion pound, $4 billion market in the U.S. alone a year. The base business was growing at 8%, and the stuff that really helps cat lovers love their cats more, in other words, the thing that sequesters odors and liquids and what have you in a cat box, was growing at 15%. And that's when we said, we're in. So we tried to figure out how to do this in that natural space, and lo and behold, we came up with a patented system of making what we like to call world's best cat litter. Now that's a branding aha, isn't it? But it really is world's best cat litter. And you have to understand where we came from. We come from the market of selling alcohol and food ingredients to food companies and pharmaceutical companies. We're in your personal care items. So very specific, very strict quality requirements and claim requirements, and it's got to do what it says it's going to do. You can drive a truck through what's said on a cat litter bag. This stuff actually works. They're in their 25th year. We now have actually two brand areas. The World's Best Cat Litter is one, and then also our Fiber Cycle products, Back to Nature, Breeders' Select, and Breeders' Choice, all under that Fiber Cycle line. The left is made of corn, and the right one is made of recycled paper. The left is made in the United States, the right is made in Australia and the UK. Pet products are widely distributed and sold in independent pet stores, mass merchandisers, supermarkets, e-commerce marketplaces, and in total, pet brands are sold in 33 countries worldwide. The Kent Pet Group is the world leader in sustainable cat litter with a 43% market share of the natural litter in the United States. Australia and the sustainable Breeders' Choice brands are also, and plus we actually export World's Best Cat Litter to Australia. They're, excuse me, they have a 34% share. And global pet care is a $250 billion a year industry growing at 6%. I go back to my market research idea. You may not know what you're going to do, but if you know that it's growing, get in there and you'll figure it out. So one of the things, it's certainly market research, but you have to do a little marketing. And I always like to introduce you to this little guy because in Australia, during COVID, for example, everything in Australia is imported. Well, there's only one brand of cat litter that's not imported, and that's Fiber Cycle. and Breeder's Choice. Well, during COVID, we were the only brand on the shelf. There was 12 feet on either side. And the good news is 25 million Australians purchased 1.25 million kittens over COVID. Yeah, that was fun. And they all fell in love with Ginger. So let me introduce Ginger to you.
For an all-natural cat litter that's safe for whoever ends up in the tray. Breeder's Choice. Choose better. Choose Ginger.
The things we do to make a buck, you know? But actually, I should go back to the beginning. So we've got this building full of food scientists and PhDs. And I said, let's work on cat litter. And guess what happened? Their little noses rolled up, and they didn't want to have anything to do with it. So I knew a guy in a middle manager, lab manager. And I said, Roger, let's you and me see if we can figure this out. And Roger McPherson and Leona Bishop, his lab tech, between the three of us, started smearing stuff together. And it worked. It did taste like feed for a while. The Cocker Spaniel ate it, which was a problem, but we got rid of that too. And lo and behold, we now are, as I say, in this amazing position. Earlier this year, Kent broke ground on a new world's best cat litter facility in Muscatine. It's a 70-acre footprint, $80 million greenfield site, starting with 30 employees. That should be ready somewhere here, first part of 2025. So we think this is a pretty exciting story. And when I say us, I guess what I want to share with you is that means all the folks. That means the shareholders, the employees, and the communities in which we operate. We maintain 30 manufacturing locations across 3 continents, which are supported by 6 sales and technical offices around the world. That's our community, and that's our company. Now, I'm not done yet, because Dan asked me to hopefully have you understand what does it mean to have a manufacturing company in your town. Well, let me give you just a little bit of a run through Muscatine and some of the things that we do. You may recall I mentioned community. Well, here it is. We have a lot of folks in Muscatine doing a lot of wonderful things, just like we have here in Ames. And we have people that prioritize, and we prioritize as a company, their participation in being a part of our community. We recently surveyed employees and found that, on average, the respondent volunteered nearly 34 hours per year during normal working hours in some activity during the year. Plus, 1 in 4 of our employees serve on a volunteer board of directors somewhere. It's a great way to provide thought leadership in the community and make a difference in our home. We give back by supporting various efforts around the place and making it a great place to live and work. We prioritize relationship building in our community and public-private partnerships. The next time you come to Muscatine, which I invite you all, please come to Muscatine. You would be pleased to stay at the Merrill Hotel and Conference Center. It's a $45 million hotel conference center complex. It was opened in 2018, and I think you'd find it probably one of the prettiest places to view the Mississippi River that you've ever seen. We participate in that. Chances are when you come, if you do come to Muscatine, you're going to be there for a soccer tournament or a softball tournament or a baseball tournament. We've got 17 lit baseball diamonds, and we've got 8 full-size soccer fields that can be cut down into 16 small ones. And we're going to be putting a bubble over one of these so you can come in the wintertime too. Now, it's not all just sports and work. We also like to have some fun. Now, you need to understand in Muscatine, there's only one place along the Mississippi River where the river runs east and west for 30 miles from about the Quad Cities to Muscatine. It turns back south right at Muscatine. And that curve caused this huge sand flat. It's enormous, and it's great for growing produce. H.J. Hines was friends with a guy named Hoops in Muscatine back 125 years ago, and decided to site his second plant outside Pittsburgh for Heinz ketchup and pickles and what have you. It still operates today in Muscatine. But melons are also grown on that island, and Muscatine is famous for its melons. So we decided that we should have something that commemorates that. So week before last, we put up this, the world's largest, what we believe to be the world's largest watermelon slice. Currently, it's in Australia, but we've talked with the Guinness folks. They're on their way, and they're going to certify us as the world's largest watermelon slice. So come and see that. Fundamentally, though, there's other things that happen in the community that have to happen, and healthcare is one of them. And attracting good medical docs is one of them. We've had a health center that has been in need of replacement. So Kent Corporation gave a matching investment of $4 million into this new health clinic, which is actually, again, being constructed right now as we speak. I think you've all seen that thing out here on Highway 30 that we put up as well. Hopefully that's not keeping anybody awake at night. And then also, just another little factoid as far as participating in the community, that turn in the river propagates mussels too, and did back, it still does. But so about 100 and some years ago, a guy figured out how to punch clamshells, if you will, and make buttons, shirt buttons. And so an industry grew. Muscatine became the button capital of the world. There were 30 of them at one time. And then this thing called plastics came along, and that sort of hit that in the head. But the last one of them shut down here 3 or 4 years ago. And here you see the kind of the old and the new of the McKee Button Company. We've purchased that building and are doing an adaptive reuse on it. And we'll be done with that early 25 probably. We're going to be converting that structure from an old factory building into the office building, which will house our retail products businesses, Precision Foods and the cat litter business. So stay tuned for that one. That's a fun project. So just looking at Muscatine alone, if you think about what do we participate in and how do we participate, certainly there's philanthropy and things of that nature. However, I can tell you, we've done the calculations, and if you add up the grain we buy, the other things we purchase, the people, the wages that we pay, and the taxes, we generate well over $1 million a day in Muscatine of economic vitality that then gets run right down through Main Street. And this is, if you can have a good, strong manufacturing base, it really makes the whole thing work. You know, I'm sure I've got economics professors somewhere here at Iowa State that I probably didn't do very well in their class, but I've always thought that if a currency is to be valid, you've either got to be mining it, growing it, or making something in order for that to be a solid, grounded currency. Otherwise, you're going to be trading somebody else's currency. So we are 4 years away from our 100th anniversary in Muscatine, and we feel pretty good about where we sit. We try and build successful lives and successful family situations. We need people. I participate, I think Tom mentioned, I participate in the Iowa Business Council. We created the Business Education Alliance, and that's worked, and the objective, the major piece of the Business Education Alliance is bringing kids from the K through 12 system and helping them understand work-based learning. Because the only way this is going to work is if I've got folks to run this company, good, well-trained people to run this company. They need to have the commitment to want to do and see the jobs and want to do what we do. We've got the commitment to make sure, again, that they not only can just have jobs, but they can also have careers. So I think hopefully this shows you that having manufacturing in your community is a good thing. At least it's been good for us. Ames is a very special place in my heart. I've lived here longer. This is the second longest place I've lived in my life. I've lived in Atlanta, I've lived in New Orleans, Ames for 4 years, and Muscatine. You're pretty special here. You've got a lot of good folks, and I'm honored and pleased to have been able to address you. So, thanks very much. I appreciate the time.